Hi, my name is Dan, and I'm here in Spain to discover the land, the food, the people, and their passion through wine, as well as how the land and the wine work together. I love land. I love wine.
There is a land where every dream tells a story about wine. The better bottle that reflects your life. Oh, I love wine. Oh, I love land. Oh, I love wine. Oh, I love land.
Next destination, Cadiz. We're going to southern Andalusia to discover Jerez and sherry wines. Sherry conquered the world until the 20th century sank into decline. But a new wave of wineries that want to recover the tradition in an innovative way have managed to have sherry bars in London, New York, and Tokyo. In this part of my trip, my best friend from college, Aaron, joins me. Aaron is full of energy and has a great sense of humor. We will start the journey with a historic winery in the heart of the town that bears the name of the wine, Jerez. A story of success and failure, but above all, of love for this land and a project in which two cousins work.
I saw the difference too. I walked into the bodega and he looked and said, "Are we in a museum, like an art museum, like the Prado? Are we in a bodega or?"
Yeah, Jerez is different from the other wine areas. Most of the people we receive is not from Spain, so we also want to tell the story of this place through the paintings. Probably our first introductor to this sherry was the Drake, Sir Francis Drake, who stole some wine from here, and then the British Queen liked it so much that she was sending him to bring more sherry wine. In the 19th century, they changed the process and they start making the wineries with these high ceilings because we look for the wind to come into the winery. They learn how to aging the wine and making it older. Since then, we have had good times and bad times, and we are probably now starting up new generation of sherry producers.
So when I think of wine, I'm thinking of red or white. How is sherry different, and how is it produced differently than what I would be thinking about wines?
We have to think in three different grape varieties. The main one is Palomino, okay, where we have 5 types of dry wines, okay? And then we have another 2, Moscatel and Pedro Jimenez, where we get the sweet wines from. Then the magic starts, and from only one grape, we get 5 different kinds of wines. This is the Fino, okay? Fino is produced in Jerez and El Puerto de Santa Maria, and it's got a sister called Manzanilla, which is produced in Sanlúcar. And then we have learned to keep it alive even longer. So we established the criadera and solera system. Instead of wanting to age this wine under flor, we may want to concentrate the character of the grape, and we want to do an oxidative aging.
You smell the different flavors immediately as soon as we walked in. It's just a different smell, right?
Exactly. So minimum normally for the basic wines would be 2 years under flor and 2 years of oxidative aging. Normally would be 3-4 years under flor and then another 4 or 5 years of oxidative aging to get a good character. In our case, we go up to 42 years of aging. Yeah. Parts of those wines start in the beginning of 20th century.
So Elena, one of the things that Eduardo said was that how can you afford to put something in a barrel for 42 years and wait for it to be ready?
Well, it's a family thing. I mean, it's you have to think about what you receive from the oldest generations and what you want to give. If you only think in the money, it's very difficult to explain this business. My father used to say that he was buying wines that he probably never tried.
So you talk about tradition and you talk about your family. Can you tell me a little bit more about not only you getting started, but your father or any other relatives?
We are coming from the oldest family that started making wine here in Jerez. Was around 16th century. I mean, my grandfather had to work and fight to keep the winery under his family control, I mean, the shares, because it was a very difficult time for sherry, for Jerez. They could sell the winery to another big group which was making oil. And then he lost the winery after so many centuries into the family. He started a legal process and he was fighting for 10 years. But when he lost, he had a heart attack in the same moment, and then he died. My father, after 15 years, restarted this project. And probably he was thinking that these 15 years were nothing comparing to all these hundred of years in a family, in our family. So that's more or less the story.
That's a great story.
So, guys, I'm going to make you the simplest explanation, that is with a 3-year-old wine, for you to understand the soleras and criaderas system. Okay, so imagine we have down here a wine that is already 3 years old. Okay, when we bottle, we will only take 1/3 of the content of these casks. Okay, and that goes to the bottle. So we have this third empty here. Okay, that 1/3 is going to be replaced by previous level of aging, which is a 2-year-old wine. So we extract that 1/3 plus the evaporation we've had here, okay, so a little bit more, from that second level. And it's going to wait for 1 more year to be ready to bottle as a complete 3-year-old wine, okay? Going back here, we're going to replace that 1/3 of the wine that was in this level with a 1-year-old wine, which is in the third level, okay? And that third level is going to be replaced by the wine we've got in the new vintage.
So Eduardo, you talked about the process of moving wines from one barrel to the next, and the 3-year you take out of here, you put it in the bottle. When I look at that bottle and it says a year on there, a vintage, what year does it say? Because I'm a little confused.
Well, actually, it doesn't say any year. Oh. It's a non-vintage wine.
Okay. So one thing I noticed here is your barrels are all black. I've been to other regions and seen that the barrels are typically all tan. They seem brand new, spit and clean. Tell me about the blackness of the barrels.
When you have this matte sensation, it's much easier to see where the wine is leaking. So because that drop of wine is going to shine on the cask, so he can immediately go and fix that.
So talking about, you're talking about the area. So any suggestions, for us to do just around here?
I think the White Village are a very good idea. I really recommend you.
So it's important when you go to the Sierra de Cádiz, with all that farming and so on, to make sure that you taste the produce in the Sierra. You can find amazing things.
Yeah, if you go, don't forget to try this payoyo cheese.
Yeah. Payoyo?
It's amazing, yes.
Let's do it.
We'll definitely have to try that.
Let's
out.
go.
Yes, definitely.
Don't forget the wine.
Well, you got to pair the wine with the cheese,
Yeah.
of course. It's worth knowing the Sierra de Cádiz. Despite being in Andalusia, it is the place where it rains more than anywhere else in Spain. There are white villages with narrow streets like Alcalá de los Gazules. In this area, we'll find there is a natural park where a lot of cork is obtained to preserve the wine. There are countless villages, each with its charm, but one of my top 5 is undoubtedly Medina Sidonia. Its walls, arches, castles, churches, and Roman bridges keep intact its medieval soul. The city is oriented towards Cadiz Bay. For that reason, it is known as the Balcony of the Bay. It turns out that in this area of the Sierra, they make a unique cheese that has achieved world acclaim and many awards. We are going to meet a group of young women dedicated to cheese.
La leche de cabra, que es leche de cabra payoya, que es raza autóctona de aquí, tiene una grasa, una proteína y un extracto seco que propician que el queso sea bastante cremoso y un sabor muy especial, y también debido a los pastos que come el ganado y demás. Pues vamos a hacer 550 litros de leche, vamos a pasteurizarlo, luego vamos a añadirle fermentos lácticos para producir la maduración, vamos a añadir cuajo también para separar la parte sólida de la parte líquida, cortaremos para producir estos granitos así y luego poderlos meter en los moldes con el paño para que desuere bien. A partir de ahí luego nos iremos a la prensa. Vais a probar el auténtico queso de cabra payoya de la zona. El más suave y este sería un poco más fuerte. Empezar primero por el más suave. ¿Qué tal?
It's good.
Very good, bien.
Creamy.
Smooth, creamy.
Yep. So you live so up here it's a very remote area. So it's pretty far up in the hills. What motivates you to come in and make cheese every day?
Nosotros somos un grupo de 5 chicas y veíamos a la abuela Agustina hacer queso y bueno, y empezamos a tener en nuestra mente el proyecto de seguir la tradición de la abuela. Hemos conseguido sacar una receta muy parecida a la suya, pero ya con nuestro toque.
Can you only buy the cheese here in your store, or how far does your cheese travel?
Vendemos en España en muchos sitios y además estamos comercializando también en Alemania.
Gracias, chao.
Gracias, hasta luego.
The Sherry Triangle is formed by 3 towns: Jerez, where we have already been, Sanlúcar, and El Puerto. We are going to discover one of its emblems, Bodegas Barbadillo, a winery located in the heart of Sanlúcar and still in the hands of the same family since 1821.
People always talk about wine as being something that's alive, but in the case of Manzanilla, it's especially alive. What makes it different is the way it's aged. It starts its life as a normal white wine, then it's aged in casks, in barrels, for several years under this weird floating layer of yeast. But the important thing about that yeast is actually that it's preventing the air from interacting with the wine. It's stopping any oxidations, as well as receiving these exceptional flavors from the yeast.
Is it a specific type of grape, or is it different grapes that can make different manzanillas?
We use just one grape for Manzanilla, and it's Palomino.
So how does the climate impact this entire process?
The climate is critical, actually, for this whole process. This yeast is a very delicate organism, and so what it needs is a lot of humidity. It doesn't want too much heat. Here in Sanlúcar, these are perfect conditions for this yeast to grow up on the wine. And in fact, if you try and repeat this operation outside the town of Sanlúcar, you won't get the same
Totally
result.
different product.
You get a different product. That's right. The first mention of Manzanilla was in around 1780, and it almost certainly happened by accident because of this yeast would have been an accidental infection of the wine, and at the time they probably would have been worried and thinking, what do we do with this wine? And then they tasted it and decided actually it's
Pretty
rather
darn good, right?
Yeah, exactly
Let's make some more of this stuff.
They say, we won't show what it looks like, but we'll keep on making it the same way. And,
We won't show you the process. We'll just have the
it
end
doesn't look
product.
too appetizing when you look at it, but the result, of course, is magnificent.
How would I notice the difference? Like, is there a flavor difference? Is there an acidity? Is one more sour? Help me understand what I'm looking for when I taste both of them.
I mean, they're both dry, bone, crisp in style. But I think what you're looking for when you're tasting a Manzanilla, you get, along with that smoothness and delicacy, you get a sort of sense of like a salty, briny aroma, flavor. It's got hints of the sea, if you will.
Okay.
So it reminds a lot of people of seaweed and stuff like that. It's very unusual descriptors for wines. When you talk about fino, people refer a lot more to almonds in the flavor. So here we have a cask of Manzanilla. You see these tops are very loose fitting.
You're right.
So it lets the air in and out so that yeast can breathe.
When you're putting this through here, you're going through the
I'm
layer
going
of
through
yeast.
this. You know, I'm floating the cane on the liquid, and then I can plunge down quickly and up again. I should get a clean take and not pick up too much yeast that way.
So that's the goal.
And then this is the way we
Wow.
dish
Thank
it
you.
out from the bar, from
Wow.
the barrel.
Nice.
There you go. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
So I guess it's maybe we should have this with some food, right?
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Great
All right.
idea.
We'll follow you.
Cheers.
Well, langostinos, as they call them here, or king prawns would be the proper translation.
So before we dig into those,
Yeah.
in this area, this region, what's something a little bit different, like an activity that's a little different for me and Dan to do?
You can go to down further south to Tarifa on the Straits of Gibraltar, where that's like the windsurfing and kite surfing capital of Europe. So you got, I mean, seriously, it's a mecca. It's a mecca.
This area is a place marked by the wind, and today we are going to experience, well, all right, let's give it a try. We go to the surf school of 10-time world champion Gisela Polito.
We're interested in taking some kite surfing classes.
¿Estás preparado?
I'm very prepared.
Vale, pues entonces va a ser el mejor día de tu vida.
That's it.
Okay.
So we're going to be good.
It'll be a
¿Vale?
great day.
Perfecto.
Cadiz is a place that emanates history. They say it looks a lot like Havana. It's awesome. Cadiz is the oldest city in the West. Its history is marked by a strategic military and commercial situation between the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. It's a city dedicated to trade. Cadiz has produced wine since the Phoenicians planted the first vineyards over 3,000 years ago. Its history is that of Spain, Europe, and America.
Cádiz es la ciudad más antigua de Occidente.